And thank you to all of you for being here. My name is Amanda Bentow, and I am serving as the president of the Greater Grand Forks Young Professionals Organization. We are an organization made up of people who really want to enhance our community, create connections, and invest in each other. We're generally focused on the 20 to 40-year-olds in the Grand Forks area, but we certainly don't cart at the door. And so anyone, any ages and all professions are really welcome to be a part of the work that we're doing. So before I share our exciting news, I really need to recognize a couple of special partners who have been supportive of the Grand Forks Young Professionals Group, and that's the Chamber of Grand Forks and East Grand Forks, as well as the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation. They've been critical partners, and as we talk about the initiatives that we're working on, as well as the successes that we've had as an organization, please know that really those have been there from the beginning. They really fueled a lot of where we're at, and those partners have really been standing by us every step of the way. So those partners, as well as our YP members, have been working very hard, and so today I'm excited to share with you several announcements that really are the culmination of that work. First of all, we are pleased to announce that the Greater Grand Forks Young Professionals Organization has received a grant in the amount of $50,000 from the Otto Bremer Foundation. And this support will be targeted toward many of the initiatives that our community has identified as being important to attracting and retaining young professionals in our community. He wasn't able to be here today, but I do want to share a statement from Daniel Reardon, who's a trustee of the Otto Bremer Foundation. And he says that the Young Professionals Organization has shown a remarkable level of energy and commitment to the Greater Grand Forks community. These young leaders have worked consistently to become a trusted voice in the community and a sought-out resource, and we are pleased to support them. So I just need to say that we are so thankful to the Otto Bremer Foundation for the confidence in our organization, and certainly for the generous support that they've provided. So thank you. Next, I'd like to share with you how significantly our community has stepped up in its efforts to support the young professionals. Since this past December, we've been asking organizations to consider financially supporting the Grand Forks Young Professionals for at least the next 3 years. And I have to tell you that of everyone that we've asked, there was not a single organization that has turned us down. And I think that indicates both the need to address these issues related to the young professionals in our community, but it also really speaks volumes about the support of our community partners and really the generosity. So these are the organizations who have stepped up and are willing to provide that financial support in really a tremendous way. At our visionary sponsorship level of $10,000, we have the University of North Dakota, the City of Grand Forks, and Alter Health System. At our partner level, which is $5,000, we have AE2S and Excel Energy. And at the collaborator level of $2,500, we have Happy Harry's Bottle Shops. The investor level of $1,000, we have Bremer Bank, JLG Architects, and the Alerus Center. And the advocate level of $500 is Venue Works. So that's a total, if you're doing the math in your head, of $46,000 in corporate sponsorship each year for the next 3 years, in addition to that one-time grant of $5,000 from the Otto Bremer Foundation. That is has absolutely blown our socks off. We are so pleased with the way that the response that we've gotten from our community. The efforts of our volunteers and the support of our community partners have allowed our organization to exceed the first year goal of $80,000. So for our first year, we are absolutely set and good to go, which leads to the final piece of our announcement, which is that the support from the Otto Bremer Foundation, as well as our corporate sponsors, really tops off our fundraising efforts, allowing the Greater Grand Forks Young Professionals Organization to hire our first employee, which is an executive director. So we are opening that position today, and the person who's hired for this position will be responsible for building relationships with our key partners and with our sponsors, and really keeping the needs of the young professionals at the forefront in our community. The need for this position was identified during the Launch Grand Forks initiative, and we'll talk more about that and sort of the history of this initiative in just a little bit. But I wanted to share some comments from Rebecca Ryan. She's the founder of Next Generation Consulting, and that's the company that really worked with us to help us launch GrantWorks. She said, by hiring an executive director for GGFYP, the community is clearly indicating that it cares about young professionals, it wants to engage them, and it's willing to pay someone to wake up every day asking, how can we retain and attract talent to GrantWorks? Our hat is off to the visionary benefactors who are enabling this move, making the Greater GrantWorks Young Professionals one of an elite group of young professionals organizations that have a dedicated full-time staff. We are tremendously excited to be opening this full-time position, and the application instructions and the job description will be posted on our website, which is ggfyp.com. It stands for Greater GrantWorks Young Professionals. And so we will currently be accepting applications. There are several initiatives that this executive director might be involved with. There are programs and events like the Executive Briefing Series and the professional development events that build skills for young professionals, helping them to become more equipped for leadership in our community. There are a variety of networking events and socials, and as well as our signature event, which is called Artsy, and that is coming up at the Museum of Art on May 12th. We are also communicating through blogs and social media about the great things that are happening in our community, as well as the issues that really matter and that affect our demographic. These initiatives help us create connections and allow YPs to dig their roots into this community. We're also reaching out to college students through internships and other opportunities that better connect students in our area with the businesses who are here. We recognize that they are the next YPs, and we want to continue to fill the pipeline with quality people who might consider making GrantWorks their home beyond their collegiate years. All of these initiatives are being fueled by exceptional YP volunteers, and so just think about where our community can go now that we will have one full-time dedicated staff member to really be continuing to advance these initiatives and pull us farther ahead. I also want to recognize the YPs as well as their employers. These YPs have been working their tails off and have been putting a ton of time and heart into all of these initiatives. One of them is Michaela Shell, who actually would be here, except that she just had a baby last night, so unfortunately she'll be able to make it. But we're excited for her. But we also want to thank the employers, because whether it's through flexible schedules or just allowing time off from work, we wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for the employers who really support those efforts as well. And so we truly need to send out a huge thank you to all of those who are involved and who allow that to happen. Again, I want to mention how critical our partners have been throughout this process, and we're pleased that so many of them could be here today to share their thoughts with you. First is Judi Paukert of Xcel Energy. She co-chairs the Business Government Education Alliance Committee along with Rick Duquette, and that's through the chamber, and she's been an integral part of this initiative from the beginning. She's provided her support as a chamber volunteer, as a businesswoman, and certainly as a mentor. So, Judi.